Здравствуйте, my friends, and welcome to Transnistria. It's a country, but it's not really internationally recognized, and it's on the border between Ukraine and Moldova. The coolest part about this place is that it's like a Russian communist enclave that has a whole bunch of weird history that doesn't make sense for where we are. So today I'm taking you to Transnistria. We're going to explore this wildly unknown place and probably learn something too. Come along. So I'm on a bit of a tour, and right now we're in a small village outside of the capital, Tiraspol. The most important thing to remember about Transnistria is that it was part of the Soviet Union, and in 1990, the Soviet Union broke up. But for whatever reason, this area in between the Dnieper River, decided that they wanted to stay with the Soviet Union. They did not want to join Moldova, and they did not want to join Romania. So there was a war, and basically this became an autonomous zone, a zone that controls its own destiny. And there are so many Soviet things here to find. It's like a time capsule. It's so incredibly Soviet. So here, for example, we have a Dom Kulturi, and here you can see up top the hammer and sickle, the emblem of Transnistria, flags, and this beautiful kind of building. This was built in the 1960s. And then here we have literally one of the biggest Lenin heads that you will probably ever find in Europe. Look at this guy. There he is, an absolute legend. The thing about Transnistria is that they still have this very big communist ideology, and as a lot of other Soviet republics have kind of erased it, they embrace it here. And so in a little town outside of a capital, you find a massive Lenin head and the communist hammer and sickle still in Europe. It's wild. So let's get Transnistrian. I'm now at the highest point in the Tiraspol region, so I'm going to give you guys some context. So what you see in front of you is Transnistria. Beyond that, not that much farther, is Moldova. And then over here in the distance is Ukraine. This area has been under many different powers over many years. But basically since the 1920s, it's belonged kind of to this Moldovan and also Soviet sphere. So actually, what we got here, if you guys recognize this super classic Soviet 1945 monument to the Red Army that saved this area and the Moldovan SSR from the Nazis, of course. And with all Soviet monuments, you've got the everlasting flame, the flame that never burns out, that's supposed to, represent the soldiers. But of course, as with all Soviet monuments pretty much today, of course there's no flame. So, but pretty epic, and you can still find all of these crazy Soviet monuments here. It's such a wild place. This land is actually completely unrecognized by the UN. There's not one nation on earth that recognizes Transnistria as a country, but there is this kind of coalition between these post-Soviet countries that seek to have their own country, for lack of a better word, which includes South Ossetia in the Caucasus, Abkhazia, also in the Caucasus, those are both near Georgia, and also Artsakh, which is an Armenian republic that's in Azerbaijan. None of those are recognized internationally, but they have this kind of union. It's called the Union of Four, I believe, and they support each other with their claim for autonomy and for self-recognition. Now, when Ukraine annexed, or when Russia annexed Crimea from Ukraine in 2014, there was actually kind of a vote here by the parliament, as Transnistria would rather just join Russia than remain by itself, because here there's this big national pride, and the majority of people just speak Russian. They don't even speak Moldovan, they don't speak Ukrainian. So it's this weird little enclave that's trying to do its own thing. But unfortunately, the appeal to join Russia was not successful. So they still remain in the margins. It's a strange situation. One of the strangest parts for me about Transnistria. No, it's okay. No, it's okay. I just want to make a video here, so go for it. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
It's just a shop.
Magazine number 5. So one of the weirdest things for me about Transnistria is it really is Russia in Europe. Like we're in the Balkans. So here they have basically all of the Russian products you can find. Tunets, tuna. They got prodotti, that's like products, and then it's like everything Russian. They really love the Russian lifestyle and they've really committed to it. And it has this Soviet vibe that you may not even be able to find in lots of places in Russia these days. Magazine, that means store number 5, Svetlost. They have this kind of rural Soviet Union vibe too. And you guys can see these like really kind of village kind of lifestyle things over here. And the cool part is when you have villagers, that means you have watermelons for sale on the road with babushkas. Здравствуйте. Здравствуйте. So who are the people that live in this unknown country? Apparently, you got something like 30% Moldavans, like ethnically, 30% Russians, 25% Ukrainians, and then there's this very interesting ethnic mix of Eastern Europeans. You got Bulgarians, you got Romanians, but specifically you have these people called the Gagauz, which I find particularly interesting because they are a Turkic people that are Eastern Orthodox, some of the first Turkic people settlers that came from Central Asia came through the Byzantine Empire and settled in this region. They live in the southern part of Moldova, and they're trying to also make their own republic called Gagauzia, which I can talk about more in a podcast if you guys are interested in. But the majority of people who live here are Eastern Orthodox, just as they are in Russia and the rest of Eastern Europe mostly. And it's kind of old school. So this is the summer church, beautiful, and the winter church. And this is a famous monastery here in Transnistria, probably the biggest one that you'll find. And it seems like all of these Eastern Orthodox churches here, in especially near Ukraine, have this bell tower, very ornate. And this is like 19th century, very cool, beautiful place to be. We stopped off in the city center of a small town called Bendeti. It's about like 7 kilometers away from Tiraspol, and they're redoing their city center here. But you've got classic Soviet block housing, and then their Dom Kulturi. And the cool part is they have this beautiful, epic Soviet mosaic style from the 1960s. So here you have some, let me see if I can get a little closer here. Turn it up. Oh. Here you have some super beautiful Soviet mosaics laid in, and these are peasants having fun. And over here are peasants working. What is this?
Like a group activities.
Ah, group activities. So you could be in the babushka singing choir, or you could be in the traditional Transnistrian dancing choir.
Dancing.
Or you could look like this guy. Look at that guy.
Like, is it queer?
I don't know, bro. Wow. Look at this Dom Kulturi with the mosaic. This is crazy. So you can dance here?
Nah, dance, sing.
Dance? Are Transnistrians famous for dancing?
Oh, it's like traditional Moldavian dance.
It's like Moldavian style.
Moldavian style.
But do you know how to dance?
No.
No.
I don't know.
And here in the center, we have a monument to an old Bolshevik freedom fighter who was very instrumental, apparently, in the fight against the Romanians who wanted to claim this land. So they built a monument to old Pavel Tkachenko. There he is. Our next spot is an old abandoned river port. So back in the day, when the Soviets were moving goods along the Dnieper River, it's a large river that goes all the way into Ukraine. It's a very important river for the region. They would use these administration buildings for all kinds of different projects, but unfortunately, it lays in ruin today. But you have a little Soviet boat up here. And then right next to the river port, they have a Holocaust memorial. It says Żertwam Holokausta, and it's pretty well known in this region that Jews from Ukraine, hundreds of thousands of Jews from Ukraine, and also Jews from Romania were sent to Transnistria to an execution camp. So this memorializes this, the 1941 Holocaust. Apparently the name Transnistria comes from this river. This is the Dnieper River, as I just said, and this area was called Transnistria, so across the Dnieper River from the Moldovan language. They also have a secondary name for this country, which is, what's the name? Put up.
Pridnestrovie.
Pridnestrovie, which would be the Russian name for the general region, but there it is, the Great Dnieper River. You can take this, you can go east all the way to Kiev if you wanted to, or all the way to Dnipropetrovsk, one of the great Eastern Ukrainian cities along the way. As a side note, as an American, I think when we think of Europe, we often think of France, Germany, Denmark. But the thing is that people are growing up in Transnistria, a country that is unrecognized by all nations. You have kids, you know, growing up in this place that's falling apart with broken seaports, with bad infrastructure, with basically the faded glory of an empire that is almost 40 years removed. It's the weird part when you travel, because it really shows you that this, you know, Europe is not always what you think. Europe, for many people, life in Europe is life in small villages, life on $200 a month, life on $60 a month for pension for old people. And we were talking to the guide, and he was saying that a lot of his friends in Tiraspol, they moved abroad to Russia, to Moldova, to Western Europe to seek better opportunities. And the thing that he noticed the most was that Tiraspol is actually shrinking. This is a big phenomenon in Eastern Europe, and it's just that people have decided they don't want to live in places like this anymore, where they're not able to succeed. And so they're going other places for work and for stuff. And that's my opinion on that. We made our way into a traditional Moldovan restaurant? Transnistrian restaurant.
No, we don't have.
Just Moldovan. Moldovan
We don't have
style.
like Transnistrian cuisine.
There's no Transnistrian cuisine? Okay,
It's a
so
big mixture.
this is like a mix between like Ukrainian, Moldovan, Romanian,
Moldovan.
Russian, and Turkish. All right. Kebab. All right, so you got some soups, you got some burek type situation called platzinda. You got some meats, grilled meats. It's crazy, and they take super nice pictures. It's great, and the very traditional Moldovan pizza. What is your favorite local food?
Platzinda. Platzinda. Also dumplings.
Pelmeni.
Pelmeni.
What's the best thing that your mom makes?
Pelmeni.
Pelmeni. By hand?
And very nice borscht.
Nice. All right, so we've got some traditional dishes here. We've got polenta with bacon, eggs maybe, or cheese, and some sort of sauce. And then we also have a very traditional soup called zaka, which seems to have noodles, chicken. What is this called again? Zaka? Kaza?
Zama.
Zama. All right. Kaza. The traditional Moldavsky soup. Kaza.
Zama.
It's like chicken noodle soup, right? Yeah? And you can't have any soup in this world without smetana. Beautiful sour cream. Look at this. Look at this beautiful plate of food. I think you're too close, but I like it. Look at this beautiful plate of food. Way too close. Way too close. There you go. It's nice. The bacon, the polenta. You can get this in Romania too, I think, huh? All right. Let's give it a try. Look at that. All right, I think we're gonna get one piece of bacon, one piece of polenta, maybe a little smetana in there. Woo! Let's throw it. That's really good. All right, how do you say this?
Это шапка гугуцы.
And what does it mean? Head of Gugutsa.
Head of гугуца.
And who's Gugutsa?
Гугуца это, как это сказать, персонаж из молдавского фольклора.
A folklore personality, character. And why? Why does it have to do with the folklore?
Because he has, Gugutsa has like a white and black colored hat.
Okay. And so we've got chocolate and like some sort of cream?
Cherry.
And pancakes and cherries. And Piotr.
I don't like cherries.
Oh, it just fell apart. Look at that. Woo! Look at that thing.
You're excited to like...
I'm very excited to try it. I'm very excited to try this head of gugusa. All right. So it's like cherries, pancake. It's not too sweet. Not too sweet. The outside is like kind of a sour cream. And chocolate. Nice. So how do I describe the food? It's nice, simple, country fare. A little bit fatty, a little bit like humble. And that's what it's all about, you know? Eating local cuisine at local places. Let's see more of Transnistria. One funny thing that you can find here in Transnistria is this store called Sheriff. Essentially, this store is owned by an oligarch, one of the only oligarchs here in Transnistria. And Sheriff, the brand, basically owns all the stores in this region. They own supermarkets, they own movie theaters, they own the sports stadium, they own pharmacies, and all the things in between. Basically, anytime you put money into the economy of Transnistria, you are kind of supporting the Sheriff squad. Some people, some online, might call Transnistria a bit of a mafia state run by oligarchs. They're not so great on the Human Rights Watch list of countries that really, you know, don't jail people for no reason. But that's all opinion. Are we not all living in mafia countries in some way or another? A country run by oligarchs? I don't know. That's for you guys to discuss in the comments. But say goodbye to Sheriff. We're finishing our tour of Transnistria here in the city center of Tiraspol, the biggest city, the capital, the big bad homeland of the Transnistrians. So here you can see right there is the emblem, the flag, the red, green, red, and then up here it says Pridnestrovskaya Moldavskaya Republika. So Pridnestrovie Moldavska Republic. That's the official name. Transnistria is more like a anglicized name. They use it as well, but most people here say they're from Pridnestrovie, not from Transnistria. As with any city center, we've got a tank, we've got an Eastern Orthodox chapel with very nice mosaics. We have the forever burning flame, and then a very classic military memorial to the fallen soldiers from this region that died fighting in World War II and the Afghanistan War. You see this in lots of Soviet cities, and of course it's present here as well. What you don't often see in former capital cities of the Soviet Union today are big old statues of Vladimir Ilyich Lenin in front of the parliament building of that country. The weird part, and I spoke to Anton, our guide, about this, is that, you know, they get to vote here. They actually have presidents. There are multiple parties. It's not a communist state, but what it is a reconstructed Soviet idea that is still living and breathing here in Transnistria. It's very weird to kind of keep as like an ideology, but it seems like they had people here decided to revel in the fact that they were part of the great Soviet Union, and now they see, you know, the larger Russian sphere or Russia itself as not just what they want to be, but a part of them, a part of their identity. So even here on top of their parliament building, I don't know if you guys can see, but you have the Transnistrian flag on the left, the Russian flag on the right, and then on the top, hammer and sickle emblem. It's strange. I don't really know how to process it. My whole time here, I thought I was gonna come and it was gonna be this weird communist thing, like maybe like Laos, or maybe a weird kind of cult of personality thing with Ho Chi Minh like they have in Vietnam. None of that's true. This is just Russia, for lack of a better term. I've been to many Russian cities, many former Soviet Union cities, and this feels exactly like that. It has the style, it has the feel, it has the vibe, it has the atmosphere, it has the Russian, it has the language. But it's weird because it's just not a real country. It's just not recognized, and it's a strange situation that they're living in here. Anton was calling this a ghost country, a country with no representation. And it's weird to think in modern day world with the United Nations, with so many people being represented, you could have a land that has its own currency, it has its own license plates, it has its own parliament, it has its own president, it has its own history and culture and flag and all these things, but they're simply not represented on the world stage. And so a lot of the people here have to travel or have passports or have nationalities that they don't necessarily identify with. So a lot of people here have Moldovan passports, have Ukrainian passports. You can even apply for the Russian passport here, and Russia actually set up a consulate for people since Russia is so far away. I met a guy last night, and the dude had 5 different passports because, of course, you can't travel internationally with a Transnistrian passport. So I asked again, how can you live in a place that has all of this identity and all of this, I don't know, history and culture, and it's a place, it's a real place, but you're not allowed to celebrate that internationally. I'm going to show you guys something cool up here. And here in the official city center, they have a kind of ceremonial center for Transnistria and its history and culture. So you have flags of the 8 different cities of Transnistria, because apparently there are only 8. The cool part is they're all very Soviet. So what the Soviets used to do is they used to, of course, put little like signs and kind of things indicating what the town did. So here, I don't know what town this is, obviously, but they have a gear, they have the water, and then over here, we were actually in this city yesterday, Pridnestrovie, and they're known for having a big power plant, so they have the electrical sign. I think that's really quite cool, and here's all the individual flags. And the last important part of the city center here, you have this statue to one of the leaders of the old Transnistrians. They have here again, Pridnestrovie, 31 years. We got the eagle, we got the dove, we got the flag. One more time saying they should be a country. And then here, as I said to start the video, there are the 3 flags of the other former Soviet states that are breakaway from the country that they got left with. So again, you have on the left here, you have Abkhazia, which used to be a part of Georgia. You have South Ossetia, which also used to be a part of Georgia. And you have the Artsakh Republic, which is a part of Azerbaijan, but it wants to be independent. So you can notice the colors are very similar to Armenia, because the majority of the people living there are Armenian, although they are in Azerbaijan. Maybe I'll do a video there one time too. This place, it's amazing. And I think this is like a good reason why you should travel to Eastern Europe, why you should travel to places you've never heard of, why it's important for Americans to come out here. And I think it's more important to understand the history of Europe as a whole. This place is as European as the Netherlands, but it gets no outside knowledge shared, it gets no international respect, it gets no notoriety on a greater scale. And the thing is, when everyone says, oh, I'm from Europe, you know, it has a lot of weight, but maybe this is your Europe. Maybe it's the block housing, unrepresented people of Pridnestrovie, with a hard name to say. It's really hard for me to say. Or maybe it's just the people of Transnistria who want representation, want to be something different. who want to have a little bit of self-definition in this life, self-recognition. World's interesting, and that's why I travel. And I hope you guys enjoy these videos to these random places, because I sure love making them. Как ты?
Очень хорошо.
Очень хорошо.
Да, как вас?
Как вас? Я очень хорошо тоже. You saw the guy. Брат, как дела? Italian. To finish the video, Anton took us to, where are we? What city are we in?
I am gonna take you to the wedding.
To the wedding. But what city are we in?
What?
What's the city name?
Chobruchi.
Chobruchi.
Village Chobruchi.
And here, oh, they're here, dude. And here's a village wedding. All right. They followed us, man. All right. Today's a Sunday, and we've seen like at least 5 weddings. They've got the like gypsy band going. We got the bride and groom. Beautiful. Woo! Congratulations. All right. And the beautiful wedding car from Poland, bro. Poland. Wow. So with a gypsy wedding band in the background and old Lenin looking over me, I'm gonna Slavic squat and stop the video here. If you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you found it interesting.
Don't like, don't subscribe.
Don't like, don't subscribe, says Piotr. He's a hater. It's all good. We're headed to Chisinau, Moldova next, and then back to Ukraine. So stay tuned for those videos. We're getting really Eastern European, and then we're gonna switch it up. We're gonna do something totally different. So I'm gonna make an announcement on Facebook in the next like maybe week or two for my new information. So say
Don't
goodbye.
comment, guys. Don't subscribe. Don't like it. Just delete him.
He's Polish, don't trust him. And a big shout out to my man Anton. Thank you for showing me Transnistria, bro. That's the man. Watch out for that big car. All right, we'll see you guys next time. Do svidaniya from Tiraspol.